Hello and welcome to episode 194 of First Geek 411. We're editing live. First time doing two people chat in a while. Thank you for bearing with us on video. Um, my name is Cameron Franklin. With me, as always, on this journey, my best man, Chris Nicolay. Chris, how you doing today?
Hello, I'm good. We're getting there. We're getting
We're
there.
getting there.
And boom. Okay, we're good. Good enough.
Good enough. This week, we're going to be catching up. And then we got one big piece of news, and that is that Microsoft has bought Activision Blizzard. And then we're going to getting into our favorite Pokemon that no one else likes. Listeners, as always, check us out. Let us know your favorite pokes over on our social media. You can join our Discord server to post all of the Wordles. Apparently, we have just become a Wordle Discord, and I love it.
I've noticed.
I am fully supporting the takeover that is Wordle. Um,
I did check in. I've played the last 3 days,
I'm so proud of you.
and I have a strategy, but it did
Mm-hmm.
not work for today's word.
Yeah, today's word was rough.
I was like, what the
Um,
junk is this? I don't even know where to go if there's not these letters in it.
you can also shoot us an email at 1stgeek411 at gmail.com. And you can watch live Monday nights, 6:45 Mountain Time on twitch.tv/ 1geek411. Be part of the post-show chats. This post-show, we're chatting Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. And then you can find the videos over on our YouTube. You can rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts and check out that Redbubble store. Chris, before we get into the bombshell of a news story, what have you been up to?
I haven't been up to a ton. I've mostly just been playing my Switch because, well, I've been house sitting, and that's mobile. Um, so I've been playing Trials of Mana, which is the remake of I think an original Super Nintendo game. I want to say, but don't quote me on that. And I also picked up this game called Little Dragon Cafe, which it's really cute. It's an open world gathering cooking game, and you get to raise a dragon. So I mean, who doesn't want
Oh, I've
that?
100% seen this.
Yeah, the art and everything, its aesthetic is great. My only gripe is with how often you have to go in and out of the cafe and into the world. The load times are obnoxious.
Mm.
I'm just like, okay, I wanted to drop off my ingredients because you needed them, and I have to go back out and gather them. And it's like, okay, now I have to sit here for 2 minutes waiting for these loads just to do that one little task that I wanted to do. But
Mm-hmm. Let alone if you actually accidentally click the wrong thing, and now you're stuck
you're like,
waiting
oh
for it to
no,
load when you
oh
didn't
no,
even mean to do it.
exactly. Um, but all in all, it's definitely a fun little game, and I'm enjoying it. Um, and then yeah, Pokemon Origin, or I don't even know what the title is, but Arceus, the
Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Pokemon Legends Arceus is like, what's the modifier on that? Launches this week, and I'm looking forward to it. Doesn't look like it's the best, like graphically or anything, but I'm excited for kind of the open world and a just general different play style, and also
Mm-hmm.
just kind of the variants, Pokemon variants. So I'm super hyped for that, and yeah, I also need to get back into Final Fantasy 14 as soon as I can because I pay for a subscription. I gotta use
Gotta use it.
it.
So for me, I'm waiting for reviews for Legends Arceus. Like, I'm so hopeful, but I'm also like so afraid.
I mostly just want
Um,
that Growlithe. Like I will pay $60 to go catch that Growlithe and call it good. You know, that Growlithe is adorable.
yes. Um, yeah, I'm super interested. I know there's been some like official reviews haven't dropped yet, but there have been some like I got to play it and here are my thoughts kind of thing from who knows who on the internet. So to each their own. In terms of if you believe those people, but yeah, I'm so hopeful. Like and I'm also torn. Like, even if it's not great, I kind of want to like. Is it like the kind of thing where you need to vote with your wallet? And it's like I want Nintendo to do more things like this, so that there's a Pokemon Legends 2, and it's amazing.
Well, we always know I vote with my wallet for things
Yep.
like this, so it's like even if it wasn't the best, sometimes you just throw money at them and be like, I just need you to break even and know that people were interested.
Yeah. So we may be having unofficial reviews of Legends Arceus coming in next week. We'll see.
Maybe.
Uh, yeah. um,
I feel like a lot of people are like thinking the same way as you. So I feel like it hasn't like done a ton of pre-orders um and a lot of like people are going to get it day one. I think a lot of people are going to be waiting to check out the reviews on it and see how it comes out.
mhm.
I'm not one of them.
You know, they showed you Growlithe. You want Growlithe.
Pretty much. That's how it always is with a Pokemon game. It's like you show me a Pokemon that I want in it, really. Like, and sometimes like that's why like there's like middle generations where like just in the trailers there wasn't anything I was interested in, so I didn't get them. And then yeah, and then other ones where I'm like, look at those starters. I gotta get this.
So for me this week, it's been basically the exact same as the past 2 weeks. I feel like for the first time in a while, I've actually like found things that I want to stick with, besides Magic the Gathering. Um, After like a bumpy year of 2021 for me, gaming wise, and so I've been playing Scarlet Nexus. That's been console wise the biggest thing I've been focusing on. I think last week I had beat the first story, and now I'm on the second one, and now I'm about halfway through with the second one. So working for that platinum. I finally got my first level up because you carry your levels into the new game plus, and so I came in way over leveled, which was amazing. And then
That's
got
my favorite like
yeah
that's my favorite new game plus mechanic. And if it's not in there, I'm always disappointed. It's just like, oh fine.
yeah, it's been nice. And then like I also went and got some stuff to boost my XP because for one of the trophies you need to get to max level, and so I'm trying to just like hurry that up. Um, and so it's gonna be something. But working my way through that one, getting ready for Horizon. Chunk and I were talking the other day, and things are gonna line up for Horizon to be his 80th platinum, and if I can get the
Dang.
Scarlet Nexus platinum, it'll be my 50th. So I feel like that like I'm not a big one that like goes out of their way to have like specific games be like the big numbers, but the fact that I'm at 48 and I can have Horizon be 50, I think that's what I got to do.
You gotta.
Watch it have this like unobtainable platinum, and I just never will get it. But
Horizon Zero Dawn will be my third.
yeah, gotta believe.
First was so it will be my second Horizon Zero Dawn. Second Horizon Forbidden West
Has
is
to
my
be
third.
third. Hey, nothing wrong with that either.
Likely, because I can see myself probably platinum that. It just depends. I need to go back and try. I also pick really hard games to try to platinum sometimes because I told myself, Chris, platinum Final Fantasy X. Okay, sure.
300 hours later.
Like, and I'm not even close. Like, there's so much I still have to do in that game to even remotely get close to a platinum. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't think this one through. I should have looked first. Um,
That's my big thing with Persona 5. Like Persona 5 is probably my top 5 games of all time. Probably my favorite JRPG, and I it's an easy platinum. It
for
just
the
takes
most part,
another
but the
it
game
takes another
itself
100
is
hours.
so time consuming.
So
Yeah.
that's the reason I don't have it. Is I just like, um, and so same with Royal. It's like I could get like Royal has an easier platinum than Persona 5. And
Does
since it
it
only takes
really?
because it's only one playthrough. That's the problem with regular with Persona 5 is that it requires 2 playthroughs.
Okay, okay.
And so at Royal you can do in one, but it's still another 100 hours. And so it's like, oh,
There's a part of me
um,
that wants to, well, like Final Fantasy VII, I still haven't platinum, but I'm a lot closer. Um, and I guess we are getting some feedback. Or
Here, let me turn up I just cranked up my mic some.
crank it up a little more because I
I am
think
maxed out
you are
now.
maxed out. Okay, I'm gonna turn myself down a little bit then.
Thank you, Deanna. Um,
But yeah, um, I don't know. There's games I definitely want to platinum, but sometimes I'm just like, nope. Just I get burnt out and then don't return. Final Fantasy VII was one where I just the remake I just got to a point that that hard mode was so
yeah,
hard and I'm like I can't figure out how to beat this. I'm max like this is
yep.
all it's all skill at this point because I have all the materia, I have everything I need. I'm max level, I have the best equipment, best whatever, and I can't get through this thing. But
Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, I've also been playing Gardens of the Galaxy. Um, the combat system is very similar between the two.
I can see that.
In terms of like the stagger gauges and things like that. So I streamed some of that this weekend.
It's almost like they're made by the same company.
Yeah, right. It's almost like
it's like the
wait, you mean the company that's known for their single player RPGs should make single player games instead of games as service? Whoa. Who would have guessed? But yeah, so been playing that for Cameron plus Deanna. And then still really enjoying it. Rocket's starting to get to me. We were talking about this a bit during the stream on Sunday. Like, man, I don't know if I can handle like 20 hours of Rocket.
is he too sassy?
Now I can't hear you.
Can't hear me. What?
I cannot hear you at all.
At all?
Pause for audio.
Stream should be able to hear me. I'm all the way there. But Cameron can't.
I still got nothing.
How about now? How about now?
Hey, there's me, I think.
Now you can hear me?
Got there.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. That was my bad.
Cameron
I hit a button
me.
and accidentally muted everything. But yeah, I just don't think I can handle like 20 hours of Rocket. It's the character's rough, but here we are. And then other than that, I've also been playing Pathfinder Kingmaker. And I got to what is probably my least favorite level in any video game ever. And I say that having played a lot of video games. Deanna had to came in and was like, do you need to take a break kind of thing? Because I was getting very frustrated. The basic premise was that all of the enemies have blur, which gives you like a 50% chance to hit them. Okay, annoying, but fine. But then there are also spiders that can poison you, which then causes you to lose like stats in like your dexterity or a constitution. And if you get to 0 of that, you die. Cool. And then if you what is it? So then if you get poisoned, you need to rest off the poison. Except when you rest, you get attacked, preferably not by spiders who then would poison you more. And then all of this is in an area where the idea is there's like an A and a B world, and there's portals, and you basically warp between the past and the present is kind of the idea. So you're trying to move around and do all of this stuff all while knowing when you need to go from past to present, and do all of these things. And then I got killed by the level at one point just because a fight started, but I was in a super narrow place, and my melee characters couldn't walk around the ranged characters, and everyone died. And it was just well, TPK time. Yes, I'm restarting from my last save. So got through it. Kingmaker is good again. But man, that one dungeon was awful. But so yeah, that's the big things from me. Listeners, hit us up with what you've been up to, and we will love to chat with them or about them with you. There we go. But that brings us to our one discussion this week, and that is that Microsoft has bought Blizzard and I guess technically Activision as well.
Yeah.
And so for the price of I want to say $68.7 million, billion dollars,
Couldn't
not
get to
million.
that
There we
fun
go.
number by adding another 300 million, but
Okay, now I cannot hear Chris again.
What? Stop muting me.
I'm so confused. Like I can hear you through stream, but why can't I hear you through Discord
You mean
or
Zoom?
Zoom?
Did you mute deaf it? Or I don't know. I don't even think that's an option in Zoom.
Okay. Okay, I think we got there this time. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry, everyone. Here we are. It's a Monday. Apparently, trying to fix my volume the other time, I accidentally messed up my headset, like my headphones. And so we're all over the place. Chris, what?
But
I know
yes.
chat could hear you, but I could not. So,
So I was saying they couldn't round up an extra 300 million to get that nice, cool 69 bill. Um,
yeah, like it's crazy. And
it's
I know, like,
also
one of the,
it's such a crazy number.
yeah.
Granted, the entire process they're outlining is supposed to take up to 18 months, so the deal can still technically fall
Mm-hmm.
apart. Um, CEO of Microsoft quoted, this is part of their plans to build their metaverse, but also that terminology, the metaverse, isn't cited in any of their internal documents regarding the
Mm-hmm.
acquisition. So funny. So we don't know exactly what they're planning, but they're, um, you know, they've been buying a lot of stuff lately, um, and it's I have mixed feelings, mostly because Activision and Blizzard have been in the hot water a little bit due
Mm-hmm.
to company policies, and that kind of just all gets swept under the rug because of this purchase. And whatever his name is, I forget.
Bobby
CEO of
Kotick.
yeah, Walks pretty much just gets enriched off this now. He's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
who cares about the sexual harassment charges? I'm making bank. I
Yeah.
hate that
Yeah.
so
And
much.
it's like that, like, less, it's like, what's the lesser of two evils there? And it's like, he's going to get a bunch of money for leaving if he leaves, or he's going to get a bunch of money for staying if he stays. And like, yeah.
Right, like it's more so like just that it took a lot of attention away from the important things that were happening within the company, hopefully. Granted, I think Microsoft probably has a much better culture. So it just depends on what their plan is. It is, Phil Spencer has been promoted to the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, which this will fall
Mm-hmm.
under. So I think there will be a lot of culture changes within the studios themselves as a result, but just depends. Um, it's weird that Microsoft owns Crash Bandicoot now,
Yes, that's one of my favorite. So
and Spyro.
let's
Like,
yeah. So let's chat through that. So with this purchase, I mean, it is Activision Blizzard, but this is kind of like the ZeniMax deal, where it was like, oh, they got Bethesda. It's like, well, they got a whole lot that falls under those, like, that
yes,
ZeniMax umbrella. And so that's kind of the same thing here. Activision and Blizzard are kind of obviously like the biggest names. But there are 11 studios that are set to join the family. As you said, 18 months, things could still fall through, but they are, obviously Activision themselves, then Blizzard Entertainment, Beanox, Digital Legends, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, King, Radical Entertainment, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Toys for Bob, and Treyarch.
we should mention Raven Software is officially unionizing, but the
Mm-hmm.
workers are still on strike after 7 weeks. Also to be noted regarding this transition. Um, but but yeah, like they did obtain a lot. Granted, they still like behind Sony's overall studio acquisitions, um, and affiliations, but I don't know. Sony did experience a 14% drop in stock price,
Yeah, for
as a
$20
result of this
million.
announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, granted, that's stock market things.
Right.
That's always going to be subject. It just worries me that Sony might feel pressured to try to find something to buy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know
Something
what
that
to
I
do.
think is crazy out of this, is I think Sony as a company, um, oh, what was it? I thought I saw the number for it. So total assets for Sony are estimated to be um, 260 billion, but their net worth is estimated to be around 80 billion. So for 10 billion more dollars, theoretically, Microsoft could have bought Sony. Like, obviously, not like that's not quite one to one, but like that's definitely something that just for a little bit more.
Right. I think part of it also comes into question like the international level things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also would Sony have sold? And also like that also brings a bigger question is so like right now I don't see this deal falling apart in the 18 months because it doesn't form like the FCC is not going to have any major problems with what's happening here. Microsoft is technically an overall tech company. This is a branching in like delving into a small part of their business. Whereas them purchasing Sony would cause a monopoly, and I think the FCC would have problems with that
Mm-hmm.
purchase if that was to be looked at. Um, but yeah,
So with this, it brings the total again, assuming things go through. It brings the total studio count to 34 for Xbox, um, and so it's roughly an increase by a third for their total first party studios. And then they'll be bringing some very big IPs. Obviously, Call of Duty is the financially the biggest one. Call of Duty Vanguard was the highest selling game of 2021, and it came out in November. And so, like, that's definitely like as much as like we are not Call of Duty people here on this podcast. I don't think that's it, like any of us, let alone the two of us. Like, it's hard to argue with that type of success. I think I saw a stat that was Call of Duty Warzone brings in $7 million a day.
dang. Like
Um,
one thing we should say about that specific title though is that is one of the biggest cross-platform games,
mm-hmm.
and which is understandable. So Phil Spencer did say they have no plans to remove Call of Duty from the cross-platform system, being available on Sony and everything. What
Yeah.
we will see is that transition of probably like exclusive content, lean more toward Microsoft. But yeah, I don't. I think it would be very bad to try to make that a single platform. Bad for that title specifically. I don't think that it would be a big enough draw to bring everyone to the Xbox if you tried to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's their goal. Like honestly, if you own like all the big titles that are multi-platform that everyone consistently buys, it's like I would really consistently release that on as many platforms
Mm-hmm.
as possible.
Yeah. And I'm super interested of how it's going to play out. Like, they definitely did the legal mumbo jumbo. Phil Spencer did with the like we intend or are hoping to bring or keep these games multi-platform or whatever. I forget the exact quote, but they are. It's just like it's so like well we tried but it didn't work. Um, but they did say they would honor any sort of agreements currently. We kind of saw this with Deathloop. Um,
When they bought Bethesda, correct?
yeah,
Yeah, Deathloop still came, but like everything
it's still
else
a
moving
console
forward
exclusive
is
because yeah,
which yeah, like that was just a pre-existing deal, and like
yeah,
it's just yeah,
yeah. I know one of the takes that I saw was that we could see Warzone stay multi-platform, but Call of Duty itself become console exclusive. Like obviously, like the campaign's not necessarily the draw for a lot of people, but we could see that the campaign and like the normal multiplayer be console exclusive, or they'll just have it offered on Game Pass, and it's like, well, if you have Game Pass, you get this cheap.
right.
So
Which is like that's something they can do. They can offer it cheap, and because it is their thing. One thing they can't do through Game Pass is prioritize their own titles. Like they can't. The rules indicate so like you are offering a subscription service, you can't show preferential treatment, and something that Google ran into. Like these are all rules that have been put into place for these platforms that they can't like they have to if they are offering a platform in which others can sell or provide
Hmm.
service, they can't show preferential treatment to their own titles.
Um, Something I think that's interesting. I'm using IGN.com for the listeners, just kind of going through stuff. So they're listing the top franchise that this brings in, and so that's why number two that they list is World of Warcraft / Warcraft. Um, and speaking of huge money makers, with World of Warcraft having like the income of some countries, um, like this is obviously a huge one. World of Warcraft definitely had a down year compared to previous years, which then led, of course, to Chris being excited because Final Fantasy 14 had an up year because of that.
Square's always made better games.
Yeah,
Let's face it. No.
got him. And so, I mean, my biggest hope here is that we could finally see the return of a Warcraft game. Like we did get Warcraft remastered or what Warcraft 2 remastered or whatever that was.
We
But
got
I
Diablo 2 remaster.
didn't we also get, because wasn't it like really bad? Um,
We got World of Warcraft Classic.
Warcraft 3 Reforged is what I'm thinking of.
Oh,
That came out, I guess, yeah. So that was early 2020 that dropped. Um, and so we got that. Like I said, it did not have great reception, but I would love if we could actually get out of this and see a Warcraft 4.
I would love a renewal of the StarCraft IP. Like we
Mm-hmm.
haven't like StarCraft 2 is still one of the most popular RTSs of all time, and they haven't done anything with that IP. Originally, they were working on a StarCraft MMO, but that was abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why, but it's possible that we might see some of these renewals. And granted, a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
games are just general PC, popular on PC games. Um,
And
and
I think with World of Warcraft in specific, I mean, I think if we were going to see a console World of Warcraft, it would have happened by now. Um,
it
but
yeah,
I think we
it's
could see this as part of like PC Game Pass and just have your WoW subscription roll into that. I think that would be pretty crazy, but not like crazy in a good way for consumers, not crazy as in too far out there. But those are because there's already so much free to play with
right.
Warcraft. So
My biggest worry about this is that we are gradually losing our big game studios that are being enveloped.
mhm.
So like we only have a few left standing of the big titles. Square Enix obviously is still there on their own.
Then you have
And
Ubisoft and EA are the other
Ubisoft
big
and
ones now.
EA are the other big ones. So we got those last three remaining big producers. Um, but I don't know. Like we might see like as a result of this, with other companies possibly like because of their emphasis on trying to introduce gaming. So Netflix does have Netflix gaming now. Um, we might see them try to make a move on one of these other companies. Um, my guess would probably say
Mm-hmm.
be Ubisoft would be my guess, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
see. I don't want Square to be bought by anyone. Period.
Yeah. Just keep them making my good PlayStation games out of the
Yes,
goodness of their heart.
exactly,
So,
exactly. They can make them cross-platform. I don't care, but
you know,
just leave them be. But I can also see Sony making a move to possibly
mm-hmm.
acquire Square. Um, I don't know. I think they could do good things together, but it's like sometimes when companies get too big, they just or are enveloped into a bigger thing. It loses certain artistic elements that were
Yeah.
previously there.
And that kind of is the Activision problem, where so many of their studios have just become Call of Duty support studios.
Granted,
And
Candy
so,
Crush makes a lot of money.
right, I was going to get there. That's later on the list, Chris. You're
Oh, I'm
jumping
sorry.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying
So,
things like Candy Crush is a big money maker
right,
for them, and like I think they make $1 billion a year. Candy Crush, $1 billion a year for a match 3 game.
yeah.
What?
So some other IPs. We already talked about Diablo. We know that Diablo 4 is on the horizon.
Diablo 4 is
Um,
on the horizon. We did recently get the remasters and stuff.
mhm.
And or we got the updated version of Diablo 2, had a mixed review, but that also was cross-platform, available on a lot of. I think that's available on Switch,
I think so. I don't
and
know.
which I haven't bought anything Blizzard in a while because morals.
Yeah, and I won't buy anything Blizzard for the next 18 months. So
Right. Or until like things get figured out a little bit, but like yeah, so uh, yeah. I don't know. We'll see
uh,
what BlizzCon looks like.
yeah,
Uh,
that's the big question of like, does Microsoft become an events company? Um,
they almost are at this point.
yeah,
Like,
because like again, like going through this, I want to call out that three of the first four that we've talked about have all been, or I mean, including the next one, which is Overwatch. Three out of the first four are all Blizzard games. Oh, and then I guess this one Activision game, the biggest selling game. But like in terms of diversity, like um, I know like Overwatch 2, kind of like Diablo 4 on the horizon. It's definitely had some development issues, but I'm hopeful for that game. Um, you already mentioned StarCraft.
yeah.
We don't really know anything about that IP. Like nothing
Nope.
really serious has come out.
I mean, we know it's
Um,
still around. It's still supported. They make
mhm,
updates to StarCraft 2, but again, we haven't seen anything major come from them in a while. But
yeah. And this is the number 6 for IPs on their site. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like we did just get a remaster of 1 and 2, but I don't know. Like that feels like a serious jump to go from StarCraft to Tony Hawk, just in terms of cash or cachet. Um, then they have Spyro the Dragon, um, which, and you mentioned Crash Bandicoot earlier. Spyro is one of those games that I think a lot of people very much associate with PlayStation.
very much
But
so. Same with Crash. Crash and
yeah,
Spyro very much are PlayStation characters. Like they,
mhm.
granted, they weren't Sony IPs, I guess. But those games were very much because they were PS1, the original
Mhm.
PlayStation, a launch title like games, and then the trilogy, like all the Spyros were Sony up through whatever. Granted, they that was the console of the time. Um, Xbox launched around the time of the PS2,
Yes,
or was it?
Xbox was PS2.
Yeah, and yeah, in PS2 era, and that's kind of where we started them kind of entering the field. But yeah, it's weird.
See, so we zoom through some other lesser IPs like Skylanders, which again made tons of money. That's one that I don't necessarily think we'll see return, but that's another one that they now have. IGN
Which
breaks
is a
Hearthstone.
Switch big thing. Skylanders wasn't it?
It was multi-plat. It was
It
on a
was
ton of stuff.
multi-plat. I think
But
a lot of its success came out on an on no,
I think it was before.
it was before.
Yeah, because I want to say it was end of PS3 era that those really took off. I could be wrong there, but um, yeah, IGN breaks Hearthstone out as its own IP. Again, technically Warcraft, but
I mean, yeah.
and
Okay.
and then they have Guitar Hero, which would be bananas if that came back. Not necessarily in a bad way, bananas. I can't imagine us getting all these plastic guitars and stuff again. But um, then
I
I touched
I
Crash
mean,
Bandicoot.
Guitar Hero and stuff has made comebacks here and there.
Mhm.
But so I can see them kind of bring that back, possibly with if Microsoft does develop a strong VR system. Granted, they are very much lagging behind the big companies like Meta
Mhm.
and even Sony's like console driven VR. But it is something that we might see those types of things come back for, because that'd be a great platform for those specifically.
Mhm. Um, Next, you already mentioned it, but Candy Crush, which reportedly earns $1 million a day.
Dang.
for the match 3 puzzler. And then they list Geometry Wars as their last IP. And I would like to file a formal ticket on behalf of Shanine, because this also means that Microsoft now owns King's Quest. And so we could be getting a new King's Quest coming, courtesy of this deal, just to go with what Shanine recently finished streaming. And so, yeah, so those are some, like, I mean, obviously very big acquisitions. Call of Duty, biggest video game of all, like console game of all time. Candy Crush, biggest mobile game, let alone all the other waning and all of those kind of things for various IPs. If you had to pick one to become like their next big push from Microsoft, what would you pick?
For Microsoft, I I, I don't know. Like honestly, I don't see Crash and Spyro being big enough to
Mm-hmm.
pull Sony fans away from their consoles just for the nostalgia, like to play updated games on on an Xbox. It's like, probably not going to happen. They do own Sekiro.
Well, they own the publishing rights to Sekiro.
Is
They
that
do
how
not.
that works?
Yeah,
I don't
From
understand that
Software
game.
owns the IP, but um,
Oh, that's
but
right. That's weird.
Activision owns the publishing rights. So it's basically the Disney Universal with the Hulk. It's basically the same thing of like Disney owns the rights to the character, but if they
Honestly,
were to
I
make a movie, it
think
would go through
Microsoft
Universal.
should focus on StarCraft.
Yeah, StarCraft was my answer as well. I would love to see them reboot StarCraft Ghost. I think that would be a very big win, to bring back this very like, I'm saying it was loved is kind of weird because it never came out, but a very like fan favorite what could have been game. Like
Yes.
I feel like if you make that game and it's decent, like that's a great, like decent in the sense of it's like an 8 out of 10. Like I feel like that's a great like first win, because we are talking like isn't going to start in development again for 18 months. So like we're looking at several years down the road. Um, and so I think something like that would be a very cool announcement for like that they could do at E3 2023, or something, and say, as part of this, we are bringing back logo StarCraft Ghost or something like that. Um,
Yeah, I think definitely with the acquisition, like I think it's the most um I think it has enough of a fan base, um StarCraft in general and with the followers that yeah, to reboot that or even just do something. We are seeing a resurgence of RTSs as well, so re-entering that field would be a
mhm.
uh would be opportunistic, I guess, but makes sense because you own two of the most popular RTS titles
Yeah.
currently now or will. Um, that makes sense to re-enter that field
Mhm.
as well, even if you don't advance the StarCraft IP right away into Ghost or whatever uh, type of title was supposed to be. I believe it. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be an MMO, but of some sort. Um, I think even just doing a StarCraft 3 would be big.
Yeah. Listeners, let us know what Activision IPs you're excited, to see under this new umbrella, get a new breath of life, or not have to be Call of Duty. And so you can do that, of course, on our social medias that we talked about earlier, and I'll hit again at the end of this show. With this being our big topic for this week, we're going to go ahead and jump into announcements. Um, Chris, are you planning to stream? Are you going to be back from house sitting?
No, I don't get done till this weekend.
Okay. I will hopefully be streaming Sunday. Not sure what I'll be doing, but hopefully we'll be back. But this Thursday, is our January book club on Binti. I have finally started reading it. Shout out to me. I did not wait until week of. I mean, it is very short,
Sounds like
but
if you read 30 pages a day, you'll be good.
right, I'd be done. And so
That's
I'm
a
already like halfway through. And so I've been really enjoying it. Of course, tune in Thursday night, 6:45 Mountain Time for our book club and full thoughts on that. And so, and then that brings us to our top 3 list of the week. Chat, don't forget you can play along as well as listeners if you want to leave those in the comments over on YouTube. We are talking our favorite Pokemon that no one else likes. We were
Which
going
is
to do our
hard
top,
because like
yeah,
people do like these things, but
right. And it's kind of like the scales of like we had a big conversation about this in pre-show of like the idea of like, is this Pokemon that just like don't get enough love? Is this Pokemon that like are on people's lists of the worst Pokemon, which are all over the place, like that kind of thing. And so there was a little bit of back and forth. So as always, first rule of top threes, there are no rules. And so as we go through our selection, we can kind of chat about what those are or what criteria it was that we chose these for. And then we did have to shift things around. So we'll talk about next week after this. So, Chris, what is your first pick?
my first pick is Sandshrew slash Sandslash. You just don't hear about them, so I'm assuming no one really cares about them. But I think Sandshrew's freaking adorable.
Yeah.
And Sandslash is semi adorable, but also he's got the claws and he's kind of spiky.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, like ground type. And then he also has the regional variances. He does become ice in the
Yeah.
Lola region, which I did like that as well. But yeah, I think they're just kind of underrated for sure.
Yeah. I love Sandslash, especially. Like that was one of my first, like watching the anime and then like playing the game. And it was like, I need to catch this Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was one of the very first ones that like really hit me that way. Yeah.
It's like you can't. How do you hate this guy? How does this guy not see more work? Granted, he's just single ground. I think that's probably like in terms of competitive play, doesn't really have a place, but he's adorable. He's awesome.
So for me, this I'm going full nostalgia, and that's the Seal Dugong line. Are they literally just seals? Yes. But I love these Pokemon. It was also one of those Pokemon that when I was playing Gen 1 very much carried me through. Um, it was a great ice type Pokemon for taking down the dragons in the Elite Four. And so it was definitely one of those Pokemon that I had a lot of enjoyment for. I feel like kind of like Sandshrew, Sandslash, it's the type of thing where it's pretty bland, like design wise, like it looks cool, but there's nothing really that makes it stand out. Just because it does look pretty normal. And so it just kind of blends in, especially when you look at the much wider array of like 800 whatever Pokemon that we now have. So
Right.
let alone the variants. So,
I think also like Dugong just got kind of overshadowed. Everyone had wanted Lapras, and like I think stat wise, Lapras also overtook him, and it just got overshadowed. I preferred Dugong for sure. Like, just made more sense. Lapras is cool though, but you know, yeah, I agree on that. My next one is, granted, this one is just ultimately got better, but the Zubat line. I do like Crobat.
Yeah.
And so it took a second generation to kind of redeem it. Golbat was,
I agree.
Giant mouth. I don't know. But definitely a line that, I think mostly it gets a bad rap because of Zubat, and we all remember that dungeon or that cave. Where that's all you encountered, and it was just so obnoxious. I get it, but definitely got redemption with Poison Flying and Crobat, and I just like the aesthetic, and also bats are cute in a sense. Not necessarily these ones. And I also think they got overshadowed by the other bat, Woobat and.
Isn't it Swoobat? Woobat and Swoobat?
Something like that. I think they got shadowed because those are the cute fat bats that we like. You see, that you would see a TikTok of and be like, "Oh, bats are cute," and and then you have the Zubat line, which is just like conventional.
They're the ones that will
shapes.
attack people.
Yep.
So earlier on, you mentioned Lapras. And that leads me to my number 2, which is Tropius, which is just plant Lapras. Um, so this is a Gen 3 grass flying Pokemon. That it's the type of thing I just love that this is flying type. Like it's this giant Bronchiosaurus that can fly and has these giant leaves. Like it's one of those that I very much feel like what they were going for was plant Lapras. And I feel like they did that, but I don't necessarily feel like they like differentiated it enough to make it catch on like they were hoping it would. So it's one of those that when I was playing Gen 3 was a big part of my team for quite a bit. Um, and I really like the design. I don't think it's anything that like there's a reason that it's on this list and it wouldn't make a list of my top 3 Pokemon, but I do think it deserves some more of the love that Lapras gets.
Hey, nice. My third and final one is I still have a mixed relationship with this one, and it's mostly because of the overall evolution lineup. But Samurott,
Mm.
I love to hate. Like I love Samurott as itself. Like I think he's awesome. I hate that he is an evolution of Oshawott and Dewott.
Yep. It's very different from the other ones.
Yes,
Like
you go from bipod to quadrupod. What the? What happened to his shell that he used to throw around and use and stuff? And all of a sudden we have this quadrupod with the sword on his head. It's like,
yeah.
okay, but if you take him out of the evolution line, he's cool. He's awesome. He's just maybe a little more Digimon-esque than the others. And maybe that might be also why I like him. Is he's a little more Digimon-esque. But I always thought he looked cool. And I did like him. I just think they could have done better, you know?
Yeah. For me, I feel that same way. This is not my number 3, but I feel that same way with Embor, where like on their own, I like Embor, but it was the third firefighting starter. And I was just like, come on, we got to do more stuff. And so like same gen as Samurott, but like that was the first gen I did not pick the fire starter.
Tepig
And
was cute, not gonna lie.
yeah, Tepig is great, but I was just like, I don't need a third firefighter. Here we are. And so again, outside of like that bigger context, I really like Embor, but just in terms of things actually, I don't know, being what they are, but here we go. I feel like overall we've been very safe with this. But this was led by because there were some leaks for Legends Arceus about some of the regional forms, and some people were down on some of them. So that's kind of where I got this idea, and I immediately knew this would be my number 1 pick, and that is Vanillite, the ice cream ice type Pokemon from Gen 5. That like I like, again, not sarcastically like this Pokemon. It's also one of those that I 100% get the hate. I get it. Like you're not going to convince me that Vanillite's like an awesome Pokemon, but I definitely think it is better than it gets hyped up to be. Especially in that sense that again, this is my hot take. Is that if Vanillite was in Gen 1, it would be beloved by fans. But because it's not, people are like, oh, it's just ice cream, as opposed to the Pokeball with eyes that they then flipped over for the evolution and gave bigger eyes. So like, it's one of those that like I legitimately like this Pokemon, and I am a huge fan of this line. Again, it seems kind of weird that 2 out of my 3 were ice types, but here we are.
I mean, also I'll give you like I think ice cream Pokemon is so much better than the trash Pokemon. No one cares about them. Like the fact that they made the literal trash Pokemon still astounds me. It's like, really? Come on.
Yeah.
Poor Pokemon.
But those are our picks for our favorite Pokemon that no one else likes. in chat. Avoided Ice did give a shout out to Combi, which is another one that I think is definitely adorable. And is a great pick in that regard. And then pre-show, Deanna said Togepi as her pick, which is,
I think
I
everyone
think
loves Togepi.
everyone does love Togepi. I was trying to think, and like the thing for me too is like I think I feel the same way about Togepi that you kind of do with Samurott, where we get like Togepi and then it like emerges and it's now this thing and then it turns into a
Togetic, or
plane
how do you say it? Yeah,
moth
then
thing.
Togekiss.
And it's just like one of, and this is, I mean, even again talking pre-show, this is the same thing as the Dratini Dragonair Dragonite thing. It's like one of these things is not like the other. And that's how I feel about Togetic. Um, and so, or Togekiss, Togekiss, I think.
Togekiss
I
is
think is the
final.
third one.
Yep.
And so, um, so those are some great ones. Listeners, feel free to drop your favorite pokes that don't get enough love or that no one else likes down in the comment section down below. And that is actually going to bring us to the end of episode 194. Next week, we should be back with our top three finales. We did push that back since it was going to be Chris and I. And the last time we did top three finales, it was just Chris and I. And so we're pushing that back so that we can have more of the cast.
Like we picked it intentionally because we have more people.
Right. And so like it's a great like for us to return to top threes that we've already done, but like at the same time, like we have done them, and so it's more fun to bring in the other people. So we're gonna gear up for our post-show chat. And listeners, as always, you can find us on our social media as One Geek 411. Join our Discord server. Man, I struggled with that.
It's a new application, guys.
Yes, I haven't been using it very long, so I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. You can send us an email at 1sdgeek411 at gmail.com. Check out our Redbubble store. Watch live on Twitch, 6:45 Mountain Time. Tune in Thursday night for book club. You can also find our videos over on our YouTube. You can also find us over on our personal social media. Mine is Humar Whittle.
And I'm not so foreign.
And it's been a great week.
Wash them hands.
I love you.